You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Coming in at 195 pounds from Studio A, he is the reigning, defending, undisputed host of the Ring of Thunder, Sexy Thor!
Well, Thunderverse news just keeps pouring in as it does, which is good because then it gives me stuff to talk about and stretch out this whole time frame. Because last week I told you about how Lio Rush was the surprise entrant in the Casino Battle Royal at Double or Nothing. And, yeah, now he's retired from pro wrestling. So, congratulations on a pretty good career. Because even though he had some rocky parts of his career, particularly in WWE a couple years ago, you know, he really managed to get himself together, reinvent himself, come back, have another great run, not just in WWE, but in MLW and other promotions. And then being a surprise entrant like this on a major pay-per-view, still to the pop of an actual crowd, which is definitely going to be at a premium, at least for a while, and not something anybody's really going to take for granted. I'd say he ended his career on a really good note. So if this is it for him, Godspeed, and I'm sure he'll do awesome in whatever else he decides to do from then on out. And something I never thought I'd see, along with Walter ever losing that NXT UK championship, is that Meiko Satomura defeated Kay Ray on NXT UK this past week to become the new NXT UK Women's Championship. To become the new NXT UK Women's Champion. And that puts Kay Ray's reign ending at 649 days. She won the NXT UK Women's Championship back at Takeover Cardiff when she defeated Toni Storm on the Saturday of Dragon Con weekend in 2019, which is crazy because now if you think about things, because we are now 3 months, less than 3 months away from Dragon Con 2 years later, but also this is going to be like the first live Dragon Con coming up since that particular one where Kay Ray became NXT UK Women's Champion. So putting it in that double perspective is just like, oof. But yeah, she had a great reign. She definitely deserves to be appreciated because she is a champion that pretty much held out and performed her role admirably throughout a pandemic. So just like Drew McIntyre and everyone else who was champion during the pandemic era, you definitely deserve appropriate gratitude from the fan base and from the industry. And just like Drew and everyone else, I hope in the future you get another title reign in front of crowds just like you deserve. So congratulations to Meiko Satomura for becoming the new champion, and congratulations to Kay Ray for a hell of a run. And now on Raw, it started out with, well, let me just say, if you're one of those people that likes your wrestling shows to start out with a promo, or you're one of those people that likes your wrestling shows to start out with a match, the start of Raw was for both of you, because it started out with just about everybody in the ring for a tag team battle royal to determine who was going to face AJ Styles and Omos next, and they were all in the ring ready to go. And then AJ and Omos came out, and AJ cut a promo. So yeah, regardless of whether you like your shows to start out with a match or a promo, you got both. Both, yeah. And then this tag team battle royal included The New Day, RK Bro, Mason T-Bar, and Lince Dorado is out there since Grand Metalik was injured. And then John Morrison wheeled out Miz in a wheelchair. Miz, who's still not a zombie, just somebody with a very, 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 very fucked up ACL, I believe it was. And then John Morrison just inserted himself in there to represent Miz and Morrison. So naturally, Lince Dorado and John Morrison are the first two out. But oh yeah, pretty much the New Day and RK Bro eliminated each other, and the Viking Raiders won the tag team battle royal. Which, again, I'll say it, in my opinion, is a little too soon, because the Viking Raiders should face AJ and Omos at SummerSlam in Allegiant Stadium, which is where the Las Vegas Raiders play. Hello. But whatever, we all know it's probably going to be RK Bro facing AJ and Omos at SummerSlam, and RK Bro was probably going to win. But hey, congratulations to the Viking Raiders. I mean, let's think about it. They show up now they made their return at the Raw after Mania. They defeated Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin 2 weeks in a row. Then they disappear, and then they come back, win a battle royal, and become number one contenders. So, not too shabby. And also, that was with Ivar being out for 7 months with an injury, so Eric had to be one of the 24/7 championship geeks. Yeah, you just never know with WWE, which kind of seems to be a theme for this episode, but also really every episode. And Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre agree to make their WWE Championship match at a Hell in a Cell match, and the stipulation that if Drew loses, he can't challenge for the title again while Lashley is champion. And then, while they were doing this at the contract signing, Drew cut the gimmick table in half with his sword. Then Ricochet and Humberto Carrillo had a number one contenders match to face Sheamus for the United States Championship, and it ended in a double countout. So I smell a possible triple threat, because they'll probably have a rematch tonight on Raw. And then, I don't know, Sheamus will probably interfere or something, and then Adam Pearce will make it a triple threat. Or maybe I'm completely off, but I kind of think I might be right. Oh, and then Jeff Hardy randomly beat Cedric Alexander because he doesn't like Cedric's cocky attitude. So, you know, maybe Jeff Hardy isn't being jobbed out after all? Ha, yeah, right. Cedric will probably beat him in a rematch tonight. Oh, I'm just getting all sorts of pessimistic so far, but it's okay. There's still plenty more to go with positives and stuff. Then Nikki Cross teamed up with Asuka and beat Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley after Charlotte just turned on Rhea and hit a natural selection, so Nikki capitalized and got the pin. So if they're not going to add Nikki to the match and be a triple threat, then I'm guessing unless they have a tag team rematch tonight and Nikki ends up pinning Charlotte, then that probably guarantees that Rhea's will win at the pay-per-view, and then Nikki Cross will go ahead and challenge for the Raw Women's Championship at Money in the Bank, which I'm not opposed to at all. And then Kofi Kingston beat Riddle because apparently New Day and RK Bro are carrying the show now, because they were featured like 2 or 3 times throughout the episode at least. And then Shayna Baszler went to Alexa's playground and talked shit and stomped on Lily. So Alexa made the Thunderdome go haywire, and Shayna locked herself in a room, but Lily was there too. So a whole lot of crazy, spooky Annabelle business going on there. And on NXT, Legado del Fantasma challenged Bronson Reed and MSK for a winner-take-all match at In Your House. So the North American Championship and NXT Tag Team Championship will be on the line. And Isaiah Swerve Scott defeated Killian Dane with help of his Hit Row mates, despite Drake Maverick trying to back up his tag team partner, but Top Dollar got rid of him too. And Mercedes Martinez smushed Amari Miller despite being ambushed on her way to the ring by Xia Li ahead of their match at In Your House. And Ted DiBiase told Cameron Grimes and LA Knight that their match at In Your House will be a ladder match, saying they will literally climb the ladder of success. And they will be fighting for the returning $1 million championship. And then rock artist Poppy, which just saying rock artist just makes me sound like, I don't know, like I don't usually listen to the genre. But yeah, Poppy showed William Regal and Triple H backstage how she can just drop her new album with the press of a button, and both of them, especially Hunter, was just amazed by this current technology. And cheap, but not paid plug, Poppy's Eat, parentheses, NXT soundtrack, end parentheses, album is out now, obviously, on all the nice little streaming services. Then Dexter Lumis went up to her and gave her some excellent fan art, because Dexter is an excellent artist. And so she gave him a hug, and Indy Hartwell walked in at the wrong time and was mortified to see her love hugging Poppy, and Triple H and William Regal were just making the best faces. You got to go out of the way to watch this clip. It is fucking hilarious. Also, I want like a YouTube series on WWE digital platforms where it's just Triple H and William Regal reacting to things. I think WWE's leaving money on the table, or I guess views and likes and clicks on the table by not doing this series yesterday. But on Twitter, Beth Phoenix, NXT commentator and biggest index shipper in all of WWE, examined the picture and saw Dexter's hands were hovering over Poppy's back, which obviously proves Dexter still loves Indy. Ah, man. I love the way and their shenanigans so much. They're filling the void left behind by Undisputed Era and then some. Except I don't think they'll be on War Games annually from now on, but you never know. Candice then went to the ring to call out Poppy for upsetting Indy, and Poppy just came out and said, "I don't wrestle, but I know someone who does. And Io Shirai is back, baby!" And of course, Io took off her jacket with the help of Poppy, climbed in the ring, knocked Candice on her ass, and started beating her up. Man, this keeps getting better and better. Give me Io Shirai and Candice LeRae all day, because they're both fantastic. And Impact started with a bit of a summit between Scott D'Amore, Tony Khan, and Don Callis. Since there needed to be mutual agreement between both sides about any decision concerning both AEW and Impact, they had to discuss what to do about Sami Callihan, who had been relentlessly targeted by the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega and Don Callis since Under Siege, and caused that whole disqualification the previous week that definitely meant Sami had pinned Moose, the number one contender for the Impact World Championship. So it was decided that it will stay Moose versus Kenny Omega for the Impact World Championship at Against All Odds, and that it will even be home field advantage for Kenny, as it will happen at Daly's Place in Jacksonville, and Sami Callihan is banned from that place entirely. All of this seems to have pleased Don Callis up until the next bit of the plan that came up. Whoever comes out champion at Against All Odds will face Callihan at Slammiversary next month. This was not so pleasing to the Invisible Hand. The rest of the show is basically finishing touches on the matches set for Against All Odds, usual go-home stuff, but it seems like Rosemary and Havoc might become a team and go after the Knockouts tag team titles soon, which is cool. They've come a long way since Havoc killed Father James Mitchell and broke free of the Undead Realm well over a year ago. I couldn't even explain it any further, even if I wanted to. because that's when I started watching Impact, and it was confusing but very interesting. So while Kenny dealt with all that on Impact, he also challenged Jungle Boy to cut a promo on him since he's not known for talking, and Jungle Boy just came out and said, "You talk too much," and hit Omega. And that's why Jungle Boy is a fan favorite. Their championship match will be June 26th on Saturday Night Dynamite. Last time there was a Saturday Night Dynamite, Brody Lee won the TNT Championship. Fun fact. Can Jungle Boy do the same? But for the World Championship, obviously. Cody Rhodes challenged QT Marshall to a South Beach strap match, which will take place on July 7th when AEW returns to the road in the Road Rager themed event in Miami. July is going to be a wild month, because then after that, on the 14th and 21st, will be Fyter Fest in the 2 arenas in Texas. That's on the schedule, obviously. Then the 28th will be Fight for the Fallen, which is the show in Bojangles Coliseum in Charlotte, North Carolina. AEW loves to honor wrestling history, for the most part, because Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross and Cody and Dustin's father, the American Dream himself, actually went through it, so this show in Charlotte is kind of being treated like a big deal, as it was a major part of Mid-Atlantic wrestling back in the day. I'm still waiting to see if I'll be able to go to that one, but I am for sure going to the WWE Live Super Show happening in Charlotte on August 14th. Oh, can't wait. But like I said on Twitter, normally I'd be like, oh man, I wish time would just zoom forward to August 14th so I can go do that. But honestly, between now, or I guess not now, because I've already worked 5 days in a row and I still have 5 days left to go before Saturday. But starting Saturday and over the course of the next 2 months, there's going to be a whole lot of awesome shit happening, not just in wrestling too. So, August 14th will get here when it gets here. It'll be fine. Man, how far have I come since the mid-2010s, where summer was just like the longest season ever and was just the worst. And that brings us to SmackDown, where Roman Reigns continues to manipulate his cousins, and holy shit, that gaslighting is bright. Rey Mysterio called out Roman for attacking Dominic last week, so Roman came out to face him, and Rey challenged him to a Hell in a Cell match at the pay-per-view. But before Roman could give his answer, Rey attacked him with a kendo stick that came out of nowhere. Then Roman got the upper hand. Then Dominic came out of nowhere with a kendo stick, and Roman threw him from the ring to the floor, and chaos everywhere. But Paul Heyman did accept Rey's challenge on Roman's behalf, so I think for the first time ever it will be Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio for the Universal Championship inside Hell in a Cell. To think, just a couple months ago, Rey was just like in a never-ending feud with Alpha Academy, and now he's one half of the tag team champions and is contending for the top title at a pay-per-view. You just never know with WWE. Speaking of Alpha Academy, they're still feuding with the Street Profits, but the news that is worthy is that Otis is actually clean-shaven now. He's a heel with a literal baby face. Go figure. And we got the ding-dong hello talk show I didn't know I needed when Bayley, who the production team of SmackDown for a split second gave her the graphic saying that she was WWE champion Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman, which she absolutely is not. But if she turns out to be a Brock Lesnar variant, then before we call the TVA, Loki fans will know what's up. Can I see this version of Brock Lesnar fight Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam? That would be very intriguing. But anyway, Bayley, not Brock Lesnar, had Seth Rollins on, and they traded signature cackles, and when they got done showing the footage of Seth fucking up Cesaro, they sat in serious silence for a bit, then they just started cackling again. It was great. Then the doorbell rang, and I swear if I watched it live with no knowledge no prior knowledge of what had happened, I would have immediately thought it was Becky Lynch. I know my brain is kind of Stan. But think about it. Her returning on a talk show hosted by one of her fellow Four Horsewomen that has her man on as a guest. Ding dong, hello. But it was Cesaro, and he beat up Seth and stole his pants and destroyed the set while Bayley was distraught. Bianca Belair came out and just started cackling at Bayley. Maybe this should just be like a cackling match at Hell in a Cell. I don't know. And oh hey, Big E's back. Now that his feud with Aleister Black vanished, just like Aleister Black, he's back in the Intercontinental Championship picture. He and Kevin Owens buried the hatchet and teamed up against Apollo Crews and Sami Zayn. Sami got pinned, so next week Big E and KO will team up again against Crews and Commander Aziz. And now we take you to some commercials, and then we go on to the Double Weekend pay-per-view.
So, Brittany, Martha, tell me about your podcast.
Oh, no. It's like we're in sync, but also kind of a disaster.
We are always a disaster.
So our podcast is fun if you want to hear two people talk about and complain about stuff that they love and also hate.
And drink.
And drink.
And the show is called...
Oh. But first, let's talk nerdy.
And you can find us on the ESO network.
See you next Tuesday.
My name is Mark McCray, and I'm the author of The Best Saturdays of Our Lives.
I'm Dan Klink, co-host of the Best Saturdays of Our Lives podcast.
The Best Saturdays of Our Lives features programming trends from the 1966 television season all the way through the last hurrah of the early digital age of the 1990s.
On the show, if it's animated, we talk about it.
Order your signed copy today at tbsool.com.
And listen to the podcast at esonetwork.com and all podcast platforms.
Hello. Have you ever wondered how much Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster sold Superman's rights to DC for? Or which popular football star was the Sam Wilson the Falcon's physical appearance based on? You can find all that and more at the History of Comic Books podcast, a podcast dedicated to the creators, events, history, and the companies that made the great comic book medium. Hosted and created by your friendly neighborhood JT Wheatley. Please give it a listen at iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and all our podcasting platforms. Thank you, and go ahead and enjoy yourself a good comic book.
Hey guys, gals, and non-binary pals.
It's Amanda Bones.
And I'm Ashley.
Of How to Talk to Your Friend About Wrestling, the podcast on the Count Out Wrestling Podcast Network, a weekly show where we talk about all of our favorite things, babes, blood, and brutality.
We also talk about other fun things, like is Kenny Omega finally too tan? And how much blood is too much blood? Because that looks like way too much blood.
So join us on the adventure of teaching me, Amanda Bones, about wrestling.
Look, we gotta talk.
Yeah, Thunder Talk.
We're going all kinds of sideways with that sweet nerd junk.
Woke nerd junk.
It's topical.
Political.
Dare I say radical.
We've got all your latest news and reviews.
Hot music.
And a whole lot of comedy.
But it ain't for kids.
Definitely mature content.
So let's talk.
Let's talk Thunder Talk.
Thunder Talk is a proud member of the ESO network.
Over the weekend, starting out with Against All Odds, it started out with Sami Callihan and Tommy Dreamer defeating the Good Brothers in a street fight. And of course, when you put Callihan and Dreamer in a street fight, of course, they go straight for the weapons. So thanks for escalating that straight to a 10. And then Joe Doring defeated Kojima. And not only should you watch this fight, but you should listen to Kojima's theme music. You will probably want to play a video game after that. And then the 5-way for the X Division Championship #1 contender spot between Ace Austin, Trey Miguel, Rohit Raju, Petey Williams, and Chris Bay, which was... the match itself was fantastic, but it ended in no contest when Madman Fulton just destroyed everyone so Ace's unconscious body could pin someone, but the ref was like, and threw it out. Then W. Morrissey wrecked Rich Swann despite Swann still showing his usual fighting spirit and middle finger. threw an F5 and a powerbomb after a powerbomb after a powerbomb, and every other big move of destruction. And Tennille Dashwood defeated Jordan Grace only because after Rachel Ellering tried to stop Caleb's shenanigans when he jumped up onto the apron when Jordan had Tennille in a sleeper, then Rachel pulled him off the apron and Jordan let go of the hold and was just like, "Stop helping." And Jordan was livid after the match, and she hit Caleb with a Michinoku driver, and then she just like didn't want to talk to Rachel. Fire and Flava defeated Kimberly and Susan in an interesting match that kind of had Fire and Flava playing the baby faces, which is very uncharacteristic. And they retained the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. Rhino and Diener of Violent by Design defeated Crazy Steve and Black Taurus of Decay to retain the Impact Tag Team Championship. And Deonna Purrazzo defeated Rosemary to retain the Knockouts Championship. And in the main event, Kenny Omega defeated Moose to retain the Impact World Championship. And by that I mean towards the end, Moose was trying to spear Kenny, but he accidentally hit the ref. So while the ref was down, of course, the Young Bucks came out and gave Moose some super kicks and a BTE trigger, then helped Kenny get Moose on his shoulders so he could hit the one-winged angel for the win. Afterwards, the place went dark and Sami Callihan's logo flashed. Sami took out the Bucks and Kenny, while Don Callis was trying to get him to stop. Sami pulled out a chair and had it set up over Kenny's arm, and then that's when Don just straight up fired him. It ended with Don going into the tunnel with Scott D'Amore, who was on commentary with Don, and Tony Schiavone yelling at him, and Sami was still in the ring yelling, "Bullshit!" So that was against all odds. Very, very awesome show. And then NXT TakeOver in Your House, which was, man, I don't even know why I was sweating, giving up not having to work that night, because it was like less than 2.5 hours long. I pretty much just watched almost all of it right before I went to bed, and then I woke up, watched the main event, and then now here I am still giving you a podcast basically on time. So start with Bronson Reed and MSK defeating Legado del Fantasma to retain the North American Championship and NXT Tag Team Championship, including one spot where Bronson Reed literally just ran Santos Escobar through the barricade. Granted, this is the barricade that also has plexiglass on it, so the effect is doubled. And then Xia Li defeated Mercedes Martinez, avenging that humiliating loss in the 2017 Mae Young Classic. Afterwards, Xia got a chair and tried to beat Mercedes further, but Mercedes took the chair and beat up Xia and Boa, which kind of undermined Xia's victory a bit, in my opinion, but okay. And then she tried to go face-to-face with Mei Ying. Mei Ying being the overlord that's kind of like a mix of Shang Tsung and Kayako? Is that the Grudge Ghost? I think so, yeah. Or is it Sadako? Somebody, come on, one of my horsemen, let me know. Is it Sadako or Kayako? I watched the movie where the Grudge and the Ring ghosts fought each other too, but I forgot. But yeah, the one that looks like a mix between the Grudge and Shang Tsung, Mei Ying. She went face to face with Mei Ying, and Mei Ying was like, "Your soul is mine," and sucked her soul out in front of everybody. That didn't happen, but she did get Mercedes by the throat and threw her into the plexi barricade. So either which way, she might as well have just sucked her soul out, but still, damn. LA Knight defeated Cameron Grimes to become new $1 million champion, all because Grimes wanted to climb the gold ladder that was all the way over by the entrance. Raquel Gonzalez defeated Ember Moon to retain the NXT Women's Championship. Of course, there was Dakota Kai shenanigans when Ember hit the Eclipse on Raquel, and then Dakota put Raquel's foot on the rope to break the pin. And then right afterwards, a returning Shotzi Blackheart came out after being injured for a few weeks now and chased Dakota away and fought her into the plants. on the In Your House set, which Liv Morgan was like, oh man, and we everybody knows how much Dakota loves plants. And then they fought all the way to the back. And then in the main event, Karrion Kross defeated Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, Pete Dunne, and Johnny Gargano to retain the NXT Championship. And it was pandemonium from the start, with lots of nice callbacks from Gargano Cole a couple years ago to Cole versus O'Reilly, to even Cole and O'Reilly working together for a bit when they both grabbed Kross off the apron and powerbombed him through the announce table. That brought out all the undisputed feels in me. It ended when O'Reilly had Cole in the ankle lock and Kross came up, or maybe it was a whole leg lock, and Kross came up behind O'Reilly and made him pass out in the Kross jacket for the win. That's important because a global press conference was held on Saturday with most of the competitors who fought in this takeover, and Karrion Kross said that his biggest concern when it came to this match was Kyle O'Reilly making Adam Cole tap out. Clearly, he saw this problem scenario happening before his eyes and went in for the kill. Commentary also pointed out that if O'Reilly had just relinquished his hold on Cole, Adam could have hit the last shot on Kross and had broken his hold on O'Reilly. But maybe this was just a case of pride comes just before the fall. A lesson to us all. The last shot of the show was backstage correspondent Mackenzie Mitchell going over to William Regal's office to get his thoughts on the show, but Regal was leaving and just looking defeated, and he stated the reason being that in 7 years of being general manager, he's never seen so much bedlam and chaos breaking out in NXT, referring to the fights that broke out throughout the night between Kyle O'Reilly and Johnny Gargano, then Pete Dunne and Karrion Kross, then Dakota Kai and Shotzi Blackheart, and I'm sure some previous incidents in the episodes prior didn't help either. So he said that it may be time for a change. So we'll find out, I guess, this Tuesday, but this may be the end of William Regal's time as NXT general manager, which would be a damn shame, but maybe we'll find out on Tuesday. Also announced was the next NXT event, which will be happening on USA Network, which is the return of the Great American Bash. I don't know if it's going to be in 2 parts or not, but, you know, definitely for that episode, I'll probably be bringing back the Great Asgardian Bash, because who knows, maybe I want to recycle that title because I like it so much. I don't know. We'll see where my creative juices flow in a few weeks. But, of course, Great American Bash is July 6th, and Fyter Fest Night 1 is July 7th. So, man, it's just as much crazy wrestling events going on in the summer now as it was this time last year when we needed it more than ever. But, hey, I'm down with it. Sometimes I think this is too much wrestling, and then other times, especially when I'm feeling down about everything else, I'm just like, I don't care. I surrender myself to wrestling. Just drown me in it. Oh, and before we go, you know, it's not an NXT takeover without some excellent cosplay from Johnny Gargano. And of course, in the past, he's always done cosplay of Marvel characters and even a little bit of Star Wars, like particularly when he first turned heel. But this one is actually a bit of a pivot, because not only did he not do a Marvel or Star Wars or insert Disney property here, but actually it was a cosplay of his entire group of The Way. And I love them even more for this now, because The Way was cosplaying as the Kliq, the Kliq. You know, basically the group of friends that proceeded and split off and became D-Generation X and the New World Order. And so Johnny was dressed as Shawn Michaels. Johnny and Candace's dog Padme was dressed like Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Like, not Triple H, but Hunter Hearst Helmsley. The Connecticut Blue Blood. the phase he was in before he was like, I got 2 words for you. And, doing crotch chops and all that. And then Candace was the 1-2-3 Kid, a.k.a. X-Pac, a.k.a. Sean Waltman. Indy was dressed as Razor Ramon, a.k.a. Scott Hall. And Austin Theory was dressed as Diesel, a.k.a. Kevin Nash. So yeah, Shawn Michaels, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, 1-2-3 Kid, Razor Ramon, and Diesel. Have I really re-emphasized enough how much I love the way? But on that positive note, this is now going to be the go-home week for Hell in a Cell. So, of course, next week we'll be talking about stuff leading up to Hell in a Cell and whatever else we're leading to with, I guess now, Against All Odds was basically the fast lane of Slammiversary. So now we're on the road to Slammiversary next month. So, exciting times for wrestling. And, of course, exciting times for the Thunderverse. Because we're also pretty much leading up to Thunder Talk's 3rd anniversary, too. So, with all that said, that's the 1, 2, 3. Thanks for locking up with me in the Ring of Thunder. Kick butts, not nuts.
Welcome to Dr. Geek's Laboratory.
Hello, everyone. Dr. Geek here with a shout out to all the scientists who work tirelessly to bring a COVID-19 vaccine into reality. Let's face it, creating something of this magnitude is a miracle worthy of Dr. McCoy himself. And now, Dr. Geek needs you to do your part. Remember, each shot is one small step back to normal, one giant leap to putting the pandemic behind us. We can do this. For more information, visit vaccines.gov to find your nearest provider.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.